Now we must all bow deferentially to our co-founder, Denise Barrett-Unland. Denise is from Joliet. She currently is the features editor and 98% writer for the entire feature section for the Herald News in Joliet. And she and another one of our members who has not been able to attend for a while co-founded the organization about 3 years ago. And Denise has published a Gothic vampire trilogy. I don't tend to read horror or science fiction, and I love these books. And I love them because they're not about Gothic or vampires, they're about human beings and people and real emotions, whether you've got fangs or not. And they're wonderful books, and I'm not saying that because I owe her anything. I owe her nothing, so this is me being sincere. She's currently working on a prequel to her books, and she has also self-published a companion cookbook of 70s and Victorian recipes that is a fundraiser for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Will and Grundy counties. So tonight she is going to read several entries from her work in progress.
The excerpt I have here tonight is about, I have a vampire who grew up in poverty. He was turned as he was dying from the bubonic plague, and he gets his power from preying on the rich and famous. So while he's impersonating somebody else, he's decided his next victim should be the fictional Squire of Levenshire, who is having a harvest celebration for the entire village. So if you're wondering how a vampire gets ready for a party and starts seducing, a victim, this is at least per Kellen. Kellen opened his eyes. A crow was pecking off flesh fragments from Kellen's lips. 2 more crows were munching on the bloody scraps scattered down his shirt. Time to freshen up. This would never do for the squire's party. He let the crows finish their snacking and then crawled out from under the bed, stripped, tossed the tatters into the fire, and opened one of Terence Reese's trunks. Crouching in front, Kellen clawed through the neatly folded garments until he found the items he wanted. Black breeches, white socks and ruffled shirt, gold overcoat, and large black hat with one magnificent white feather. After briskly shaking the soot from his carcass, Kellen pried the remnants of last night's village from between his teeth with an old broom straw, wiped his fangs clean on the bed curtains, and then rumpled the coverlets, just in case the innkeeper's nosy wife grew suspicious of a consistently made bed. He recalled Seymour Cassidy's rude remark of smelling like death and liberally sprinkled scented power anywhere he grew hair. He carefully dressed himself in the former Terence Reese's picnic finery, making sure to check his appearance in the floor-length looking glass to ensure he looked somewhat alive. What stared back was a handsome man with sleek and well-powdered black hair and beard, black eyes, and skin as white as arsenic. Well, Kellen could remedy that before the party. At least he smelled like a botanical garden instead of compost. Meredith Manor, Kellen informed his stately reflection, prepare to meet your new master. The crows flew to the rafters to rest. The innkeeper had spoken the truth. The celebration at Meredith Manor was indeed Levenshire's to-die-for event. To die for, Kellen chortled as he flapped overhead. Its inhabitants came astride horses, in carriages, and on foot, a bounteous procession leading away from town and out to the squire's country estate. After a detour to a Swiss village that's now extinct to stave off hunger pains, Kellen mounted a 60-foot tree and nestled in its leaves to monitor the traffic and patiently wait for the party to ripen. And ripen it did. What a harvest! What a banquet Squire Thackeray had spread. Lusty men strutting the grounds as they played bowls and chatted about their personal affairs. Corseted women in pastoral gowns and straw hats dotting the landscape like wild flowers. And children of all ages and sizes scampering like rabbits after hooves. Kellen wove through the serving tables, observing, but completely indifferent to jellied eel, meat pies, roasted partridges, the multitude of puddings, blocks of creamy Levenshire cheese, leeks, artichokes, wheat and barley loaves. From inside the main house, scarcely in view, came the haunting strains of a harpsichord, but from the grounds, a row of fiddlers danced to the rollicking tunes they made. But which of the men was the squire? And then, there she was, sitting against a tree away from the rest, red-orange hair artfully draped over a sky-blue gown, smiling at him from under a white straw hat and over a plate filled with people food. Well, Kellen liked people food too. He smiled back and gradually made his way to the tree where the victim was still consuming portions of her last meal. "Sir," she said, green eyes dancing with more animation than the fiddlers and fiddlies. "Nice party." Kellen crouched down beside her. "If you like snipe." He pointed to her plate. "You've left some." "Tough bird." She held up her plate. "Try some?" "Thank you, but I have a taste for something daintier." Eyes still bright, the maiden set down her plate, rose, and brushed the grass from her skirts. "There's a grove yonder." She pointed beyond the archers. "It's quite secluded." "Well, it would not do for a young lady to be alone there." "Oh, sir, I won't be alone." She retied the ribbon on her hat and merrily skipped away. And that was how Kellen met the squire. Oh, the confusion that ensued when the news spread through the festivities. With a blast of the fox-hunting trumpet, horses, horsemen, and hounds raced through the grounds and groves and leaped over low picket fences in search of the squire's favorite niece. As one horseman in a double-breasted red suit scaled a pond with his black horse and spotted hound, his glance fell upon Kellen and his face brightened. He pulled hard on the reins, pointed his finger, and charged in Kellen's direction. "That's him!" the man shouted as he dug his spurs into the horse's flanks and urged him to the place where Kellen stood. "That's the man I saw with Penelope." Before Kellen could process the events, someone had grabbed him by the collar and dragged him before the squire. "This man," Kellen's captor breathlessly blurted out, "this man was seen conversing with the young lady under that tree yonder." The man pointed to the very oak where the maiden had shamelessly seduced Kellen and broken his vow to fast at this feast. That was the very last time anyone saw her. "Tell me," the squire said, as he fastened his luscious blue eyes on Kellen, eyes that showed only concern, not a burning fever to be owned, "of what topic did my niece converse?" Kellen held the gaze but said nothing. "Think, damn it." The squire's eyes narrowed in growing annoyance at the delay. "I said, of what topic?" "Oh, squire, forgive my hesitation in responding. I only wish to avoid offending you." "Offend me? You're more likely to offend me by your silence than your speech." The squire glanced round at his guards, armed and ready to act. "Now, for the last time, of what topic?" "Dinner." She spoke of dinner. "Dinner." She was unhappy with the snipe. "Anything else?" "Well, none, squire. I was merely reluctant to cast aspersions on the food after I had so heartily supped." To underscore his point, Kellen patted his stomach, bursting not with snipe, but with the squire's chewed-up niece. But did my niece say anything significant? Anything that might hint to her present whereabouts?" "None, squire." The squire nodded to a frontmost man on horseback who immediately shouted, "Go! Keep searching!" After these men had galloped away, the squire pressed his hand into Kellen's. "I did not catch your name." "Mr. Terence Reese." "Ah, yes, of the trading company. Mr. Reese, welcome to Meredith Manor." "Well, thank you, sir." "I am so sorry that your first visit came to such an unhappy end." "Oh, please don't apologize, squire. Any caring uncle would naturally be distraught." "I am certainly distraught. When this crisis had passed and Penelope is safely returned, I shall invite you to a proper dinner and a more pleasant introduction." "Well, I would like that. Now, if you will excuse me." With a courtly half-bow, the squire mounted his horse and joined the others. At dawn, after a detour for some Spanish cuisine, and while hanging upside in the rafters with the crows hanging off him, Kellen shared the progress he had made at the squire's party and the opening for future invitations Kellen's cleverness had granted him. "It won't be long, my carnivorous comrades, before we have a new home." The crows didn't blink. Kellen won comatose.
See, just regular people. That sounds like my usual Thanksgiving.